A2theK.
Welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show. Welcome to Total Sellouts. We are going to look at the 10
I don't like our faces being above the word total sellouts.
Yeah.
But that's a shit right there.
Yeah, that's who we be. But based obviously off the recent success of AEW with All In at Wembley Stadium, we thought...
It's being held in Britain. I think we should call it Get In!
Well in, lad! So, yeah, based on that, we thought, well, how does that stack up? How does that rank up against other, wrestling events in terms of attendance? And also, what makes a spectacle that people want to attend?
What makes a
spectacle? So,
like Mama used to make.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Interestingly enough, are they recent? Are they old? Let's have a look at the top 10.
Let's do it.
And then we'll have a chat about it, shall we? So, okay. What's number 10, Anthony?
Well, Carl, coming in at number 10, we have WrestleMania 33 hitting 75,245. Didn't feel right saying it, but
numbers ain't our strong suit.
Yes, it is. No, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's not WWE's strong suit by all accounts, because I think some of these figures may not be accurate.
Well, that's another good talking point, actually.
Yeah, that's one we can get onto, I suppose.
Yeah.
But WrestleMania 33, for those of you who don't recall, was the infamous Roman Reigns versus Undertaker match, where I think this is the point Roman Reigns became the new big dog. Became his yard.
It's his yard, yes.
And this is back when nobody really liked Roman.
Yes.
And interestingly, he'd been listed as the main event, which I found interesting in and of itself, because Undertaker doesn't typically have the main event matches these days. They have the Undertaker match, and then they'll have some sort of other main event.
Way to send the fans home very unhappy. But this looks like the one that was in Orlando, because of the roller coaster and stuff in the background. I love that set.
That is a unique set, and that could be a reason.
Could be. I'd go there just to see that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that was number 10. Coming in at number 9 with 76,976 was WrestleMania 31. We recently spoke about this on WrestleMania Rewind.
No, we did not.
Yes, we did.
That's the second best Mania?
Yeah, I think so. That's what it got voted as, didn't it? By you.
Because we've already done it once before, haven't we? So this can't be the best Mania.
Yeah, best Mania was 17, I believe.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
So yeah, this came out as second best, and a lot of people were there to see it live.
The common denominator here.
Well, Roman Reigns, main event, all the things. So yeah, this is where we had Brock versus Roman, but it's also where we got to see Seth freaking Rollins have his cash in. So
yeah,
awesome to see that many people get to experience that live as well. That would have been very, very cool. So yeah, that was number 9.
Number 9. Well, number 8, Carl, we're going to bring you WrestleMania 34. I think I'm already noticing a common denominator here.
Mainly WrestleMania.
Right? With 78,133, and that is the Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Yeah, there's definitely a common denominator here.
Yes.
WrestleMania 34.
Yeah, I mean, does that mean it draws then? Is it a big draw? Or is it just because WrestleMania and they just happened to main event with that?
I mean, yeah, they were big on Roman, and this is some of the program he went into with John Cena, and he says, you've been protected your whole life, 5 Manias, etc. like that. He's not wrong, but you know, the fact is Brock is a draw and Roman has become a draw. I think at this point he was just getting put with the people who draw, but it is what it is. Still a massive pay-per-view, massive numbers, and I mean, you can't beat a good Mania. I actually think, looking at the logos, this is just a random tidbit, but this was one that they were experimenting with VR cameras on the turnbuckles. So I at the time was well into the PSVR, and you could watch.
I remember you did that for a bit
in virtual reality, but like the perspective was you at the top of the turnbuckle, and you could sort of look around.
Fucking cool.
I think it's pretty much jibbed them cameros off.
They've tried a lot of cool stuff, haven't they? To be fair,
yeah. Give points for efforts when it comes to trying new things in production.
You also tried that really terrible. That was it. Tout. Remember? It's like a social media platform.
Oh God, yes.
Over.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So they don't always win. Coming in number 7 with 78,363 in attendance was WrestleMania 28. Once in a lifetime. That didn't end up being once in a lifetime, but it was John Cena versus The Rock. I believe it was in Miami, hometown of The Rock. We did get Flo Rida. We got Machine Gun Kelly.
Florida.
Oh, sorry. Florida.
Machine Gun Kelly. You know,
but
who's that guy?
Yeah, but are you just jealous because now he's with Megan Fox? Let's be honest.
No.
Okay. But yeah, so this was a hell of a spectacle. I was so hyped for this. This was especially when it was once in a lifetime. This was like, I never thought we'd get to see The Rock versus John Cena. I was pumped for this. So yeah, 78,363 other people got to see that in person as well.
God damn.
But again, it's a mania. It's all about the mania.
Well, Carl, heading on up, Carl.
Moving on up.
And this is one, I'll get to it first. Let's say it's WrestleMania 23, Carl, and that is 80,103. So we're still moving up on the numbers here, Carl. The one thing I will say about this one is not one that ever stuck with me.
Okay.
Especially the main event-wise. John Cena versus Shawn Michaels. I don't think as a match that ever really stuck with me.
It's because of Shawn Michaels. I tend to block out as much of his
I know
career
you do,
as
but I don't hate him anywhere near as much as you.
Yeah.
But I just find that interesting because it's not a particularly memorable one for me, but it obviously pulled the numbers, man.
Yeah. Do you know what's so weird about it and what most of the promotional material was around was actually the hair versus hair match with Vince and Donald Trump. It was Lashley versus Umaga, wasn't it? And Stone Cold was the special ref. And that tended so is Trump a draw? All because of Trump?
Yeah. Yeah, you've seen the presidential figures.
Which ones? The real ones or allegedly?
Oh,
allegedly. Coming in at number 5. It's not a Mania. It's SummerSlam '92, and it is Wembley.
Fucking right.
It is Wembley. So look at this, AEW. Obviously, this is the old Wembley Arena, not the new Wembley Stadium, but 80,355 in attendance, and obviously the headline was Bret the Hitman Hart against the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. One of the best things ever.
God damn it.
So good.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just it goes to show though, and maybe there's a bit of a theme with the more recent premium live events from WWE is fans who are starved of seeing live shows really just make the fucking most of it. Do you know what I mean? In America, it's so oversaturated. They're there every week. If you live in Chicago or Vegas, for example, you've probably got a wrestling show on your doorstep at least once a month.
That's the thing, yeah.
A big wrestling show as well, like WWE, AEW. So
yeah,
so us old Brits over here.
It's probably our beloved pay-per-view, really.
Well, exactly. And AEW are going to try and best it as well. I think it's only set up for 74,000, to be fair, so maybe they won't. But hell of a turnout. That's the rumour. That's the rumour.
I heard that they were going for much as they could.
Yeah. It changes on the daily. I think they've done 65 so far, so we'll see where they go.
I heard it was 70.
Oh, you hear different news to me.
I heard I don't.
Oh. So yeah, that was number 5.
Well, Carl, heading on back over to WrestleMania. WrestleMania 29 with 80,676. I believe this twice in a lifetime.
Twice in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. The Rock versus John Cena, Carl.
Yeah.
And to be fair, as much as it was meant to be a once in a lifetime thing, I think a lot of people wanted them to run it back. And you can't deny this was a main event match right here.
Yeah,
right here.
It's in New Jersey. It's in MetLife. I think it might have been where it was. I can look at that Statue of Liberty in there, and it says NYNJ on the poster. So let's go with that.
So New York then.
Yeah. Yeah, one of them places.
Was it in New Jersey? I see the Statue of Liberty.
Well, no, it says NYNJ, so I think it's it was New Jersey technically. But shut your face.
I just love how their iconic image for New Jersey is. Well, we can see the Statue of Liberty. It's damn.
Yeah. Coming in at number 3, we had WrestleMania 35 with an attendance of 82,265, and it was the first and only, because we're not going to count 2 nights, and it's also important to note that we haven't counted 2 nights in these figures either.
Good point.
But this is the only women's main event at WrestleMania. It was Ronda versus Charlotte versus Becky, all the titles on the line, and 82,265 people got to witness that history in the making in person. So, fair play.
Fair play. Well, Carl, going over to a classic here. An absolute classic. WrestleMania 3. Right? I'm surprised it wasn't WrestleMania 2. Kidding. WrestleMania 3, Carl. 93,173. Main event being Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. An iconic main event.
Slam heard around the world.
Indeed.
Because most of the world is in the fucking stadium.
Well, exactly. But how can this not be one of the biggest pay-per-views that ever was?
You mentioned earlier as well, some of these figures have been, what's the word? Inflated. Or there's questions over them. I believe this is one of the ones where there's a lot of question marks over that figure. But, hey, we're going to go with it, because that's what it says. So coming in at number 1, the most attended event of all time, 101,763 people seeing WrestleMania 32, where of course Roman Reigns and of course Triple H, because that's what he does, inserts himself into the main event of the most people, because then he can say, I was the most watched main event.
Fair.
Because, yeah, that's what you do when you're not Stone Cold or The Rock.
That's what you do.
Only kidding, Triple H. We love you. So, yeah, 101,000, nearly 102,000 people, if you believe that, which is fucking mental.
I believe that 101,763 is nearly 102,000 people.
It is, yeah, I rounded up. Yeah, rounded up. So, yeah, they be all, well, the top 10 most attended.
Indeed.
And there's some serious numbers on there.
So I suppose the first thing I want to talk about then, there's a common theme in the figures, and I am not going to try and do this
Roman
whole...
Reigns.
well, we can get onto that shortly, but I'm not going to try and do this whole company versus company bollocks, because AEW is like, what, 3 years old?
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose the first question I want to ask you, Carl, is, do you think that a company outside of WWE could ever reach those sort of figures?
Maybe.
Based on the fact that AEW are getting pretty close to hitting like their lower end of their biggest figures, you know?
I think WCW did like a Forbidden Door with New Japan, like back in like late 80s, early 90s or something. But that was a 2-night event. But they apparently got into the 100,000s as well on theirs. Really? So that was a cross-promotional thing. But
okay, so I suppose ignoring that, do we say a single individual company? Could they hit 100 and odd thousand?
It's going to be tricky. Like WWE's got the monopoly on the whole industry, hasn't it? Yeah. Like AEW, as you say, 3 years old, but they're giving it a hell of a try.
Look how reoccurring WrestleMania is, and harping, is that right? Referring back to something mentioned in the news earlier, like Joey Janela has mentioned, like if you're in the business, WrestleMania is something you want to do. Mm-hmm. Like it's that iconic and that synonymous with wrestling now that it just it seems to be a common thing. It has to be a WrestleMania for the most, you know.
But like WrestleMania also transcends wrestling. It's like it's become such a spectacle that you don't just go to WrestleMania to watch wrestling matches. You go and you're gonna see live performances from well-known bands. You're gonna see celebrities rocking up. You know, people tend to go there if they've not even watched the product in a while. To
this year's celebrity, this didn't do very well. So.
Well,
the band, this year's band didn't really do very well.
Well, yeah. Sorry. But you know, you got to see KSI and Logan Paul, things like that. People seem to love those guys.
We're behind the times. We're old men, and we don't understand what's going on.
We don't really get it, but they've got a drink.
Why are they dressed like balls?
Not very well.
So you don't like it?
No.
I don't like it.
No, well, we tried the blue raspberry one. I think you liked it more than I did, but I was just like,
Team Prime
tastes is should be the slogan.
What a review.
But yeah, so it's going to be very difficult for any other company, I think, because WrestleMania is its own spectacle. Like it's a larger than life show. It's like the Super Bowl, isn't it? That's the whole thing.
So part of me was going to say, well, you know, you go, well, they've had years, they've built up to that. A lot of the WrestleManias were listed like 20 odd plus, right? But WrestleMania 3, huge numbers. Yeah. So it's obviously always been that sort of a spectacle. So what do you think makes WrestleMania such an event? Even on the third one, they were getting huge numbers.
Yeah. So it's always had the first one had the first and second had Mr. T in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You've had Cyndi Lauper and that making appearances in there. So it's always been star-studded.
Yeah. I think that's always been the thing that's been cited as well when people go on about celebrity involvement. It's like there's always been celebrity involvement.
Yeah, always from day one. But like. The thing is, in WrestleMania 3, wrestling was on a whole different level of popularity then. If you think about it now, there's so much stuff you can watch or do, or you know what I mean? Everything is like in the palm of your hands on your phone. You can watch or do anything you want to do. So
you always end up with porn.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah. I know it's in the palm of my hand. But, you know, back in 80 whatever, with WrestleMania 3, it was like, well, we can either watch this or, I don't know, get a stick and a tyre and go down the road and beat someone to death. It's a Stuart Francis joke throwback there. But yeah, so obviously that's a very different time. But I think unless another company can do like the blend what WWE has and turn it into a spectacle where people want to watch it, not just for wrestling matches. Because like people go to WrestleMania not knowing a single thing about the storyline, or like they haven't even watched it since they were like 10 or whatever. But it comes to the town, it's like, oh, we've got to go to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Same with the Super Bowl.
How often is it going to be?
People aren't massive football fans that go to the Super Bowl all the time. It's just like, well, it's a big event where there's going to be music and stuff to watch, stuff to do. There's a whole atmosphere. So
well, halftime show is like one of the bigger things, isn't it?
There you go.
Going on there.
Yeah.
So I take your point. I do take your point. But I still find it interesting, like I say so early on with Mania, like I suppose they established themselves with WrestleMania 1, but correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they nearly shit the bed WrestleMania 2?
Yeah.
So it's impressive that 3, like,
so
brought it back in such a fantastic
The problem they did with WrestleMania 2 was they tried to put it on in 3 different locations.
Yeah.
And so basically you've got this stacked card, but really...
They should have had the biggest numbers.
Well, that's why it wasn't a multi-night thing. But it was over 3 separate locations, and they had this stacked card, but you only got one of the big matches, and then you had to watch the rest on on a cinema screen. So you'd go and watch the first hour of wrestling, and then you'd have to watch the next 2 hours on a screen, or watch 1 hour on a screen, then the actual thing. You know what I mean? So it was just a bit of a mess.
So looking at like the fact that, you know, your 3 WrestleManias in, the last one was a shocker like that. They've obviously been able to draw people into let's go and see WrestleMania 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that suppose leads me on to the next part of what makes a sellout pay-per-view. Like, hype packages.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the hype is one of the key important factors? And I can feel the internal rage in you because it's slightly moved the microphone there. You have to let that go.
Did not come across.
We're on the air. You have to let it go. Right?
I will beat you after this.
But do you think the hype is an important factor? That's what makes a sellout pay-per-view. I mean, a lot of these ones we've seen here, like I mentioned sort of somewhat dismissively, like Shawn Michaels versus John Cena. Didn't really, you know, I didn't feel particularly hyped for that personally. But then you get things like The Rock versus John Cena, and it was like once in a lifetime, and then twice in a lifetime, and then probably again at some point, you know. Do you feel like the hype is what helps draw the figures in? I think that's a factor.
It's got to have an element to it, hasn't it? Especially for like... It's tough because with a WrestleMania, as I've said, there's all this other stuff on offer as well. But ultimately, you want to go to see the biggest stars in the main event or whatever, don't you? Or the biggest feuds.
Yeah.
So if you go to WrestleMania because, I don't know, Snoop Dogg's performing, but your main event is, I don't know,
Snoop Dogg wrestling.
Yeah, then you're going to be like, do you know what I mean? But if you go in and you're getting all that as well as, I don't know, Stone Cold versus The Rock or something, you know.
So,
like Roman versus The Rock, for example, I don't think they can go bigger than that.
Yeah, that's
with
fair.
anything at the minute.
Yeah.
So,
and that would be one of the biggest draws for them. But interestingly, you look at All In, which has been the reason that we're sort of discussing this, and they've sold. I'm going to go with your estimate of 65,000 figures because I don't know if they've hit 70. I feel like they have, but 65,000 seats sold, and they haven't announced any matches yet.
See, that's wild. And I think that's where the whole depends where you're hosting it thing comes in.
Yeah, I think that's an important one because I honestly think this isn't me going, look, that's impressive. And it is impressive, but at the same time, WWE probably would have done that with Clash as well. Because, like, I think you echoed on it before, that, like, when a big company comes to this country and we don't really get a lot of that sort of stuff, like, it's like a big pay-per-view for us. And it draws you in. Like,
well, like, I mean, Money in the Bank, that's one of the technically like the new big 4, really, isn't it?
Fuck Survivor Series.
Yeah, so essentially that's like over here is mad.
Yeah,
it's like
indeed
close to having a bloody WrestleMania over here.
That's the thing, and you know, that in itself, I don't think they'd have to announce much for that. It's gonna sell.
No, but the thing is with All In is that it's like it's the first time we've ever got to see AEW over here.
I find it interesting because it's almost reputational, isn't it? You don't need to know the cards. You know you've got some star power there, and you're going to see some good matches. So people are like you say, they know the company, they love the company, and they're buying the tickets because there's faith there that it's going to be a decent night. It's funny. To me, that's reputational.
Yeah,
that's good.
Like people like Jim Cornette, he's basically just like saying it's tribalism of the fans. Like they're so like want to back that. Like AEW over WWE, that they'll buy the tickets just, you know, regardless of whether it's going to be shit or not, just to be like, to try and make it a success, which I'm not too sure I really believe.
Yeah, I've often bought tickets out of spite.
Yeah, and sit there.
Out of sheer spite. Like, you know me, I'm not a fan of football or soccer, American fans. I buy a Liverpool ticket just to fuck Everton up. I do that because I'm a spiteful guy. I don't really. Yeah. I just wanted to point out the ludicrousy of his argument.
Yes.
No, that's beyond ridiculous. Like, I mean, especially when he's talking tribalism. Like, WWE literally have the tribal chief. Like, Let's not talk tribalism here.
Well, yeah.
I'm aware that's a gimmick. I'm just kidding.
No, he lives there.
But yeah, I think it's reputational. I think those who are AEW fans who want to see them in this country and get to see a live event are going to be fucking made up, and that's why it's selling already. Surely.
Hell yeah.
I can't imagine anyone going there going, yeah, fuck WWE. Yeah. Okay,
Well,
maybe
exactly.
a few.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe most of them. I'm good.
Are you Jim? So it's a very interesting one, I think, and massive kudos to AEW for being able to sell that many already so far without even announcing a match. Imagine if they announce something insane, then more people are probably going to be inclined.
But I think the key elements to being a sellout pay-per-view, right, and it's something that Tony Khan just epitomizes, right, and it's having a lot of fucking money.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that's a perfect place to end this segment. So yeah, they were the top 10 highest attended events. We've obviously give our thoughts on what we think makes sellout worthy event.
What do you think makes a sellout pay-per-view?
What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe, because then you get to listen to random segments like this that fall out of our ass sometimes when there's nothing else to talk about. So
don't label it pulling things out your ass, because you get a whole different audience.
Yeah, that's true. But either way, if you've come here for that reason alone, like and subscribe anyway, because why? So yeah, that was that, and we will see you on the next one.